Hi guys, my name is Maria Park.
And I'm River Park.
And this is Life with the Parks. And in our last video, we discussed how we met. So now we're going to talk about how we got together. And that was an interesting story. It's pretty long, so I think I'm going to shorten it because we'll be here all day. But after River, if you remember in the last video, finally started texting me and answering me and showing interest in me, we started to talk more over Instant Messenger and
Till like
Facebook.
3 in the morning.
So like 3 or 4 sometimes in the morning. And I remember one day we met up at I actually think you were a little bit late. We were going to the drum circle meeting, or meet up, should I say. And there was no one else there besides me, my daughter, the teacher, which was our mutual friend at the time, and then River eventually came in. And I could tell that River was very put off by something, and I didn't know what it was. And then our, at the time, mutual friend said, "Oh, happy birthday." And I was like, wait, what? Because I had no idea. Even when we were talking, River never implied or let on that it was your birthday. So, but then I realized you were looking at other people or seeing why the other people at the drum circle hadn't come since it was your birthday and these people were supposed to be your friends, which kind of ticked me off. And I remember we had the drum circle class and then you went off to your yoga class because you did that normally after the drum circle. And I kind of turned on my friend. I'm like, what kind of friend are you? I mean, you didn't even let everyone know. You could have done something, had a party, whatever. I was pretty ticked because I had it really bad, guys. So that night I messaged River on Instant Messenger and I said, I think I'm gonna throw you a birthday party. And so I was like, what kind of cake do you like? And River was like, strawberry ice cream cake. And so I had a friend that used to make cakes and had made a lot of cakes for me, very pretty cakes. I had that friend make me a cake and it was like ocean themed because I always thought River was like really calming to me and reminded me of an ocean wave. So I thought it would be cute to have an ocean wave cake. And it was a beautiful cake.
I wish you had a picture because I've never seen the cake.
I know. Well, there was nothing to see because my friend, en route to bring it on the day of the party, the freezer in his truck broke. I don't know what it was. A cooling element just went out.
It was hot too.
And it was about a heat index of 103 because where we live in the South, it gets very, very, very hot and humid. So by the time the cake got to me, it was melted. It was melting into itself.
I would have eaten it. Nothing wrong with that. Still good on the inside, right?
Yeah, but I felt like the ice cream would have just been gone completely by the time. Because, I mean, at that point, I lived almost 40 minutes away from you. So that it would not have made it.
Soup.
Cake soup. But, so, suffice it to say, my friend didn't charge me. And I ended up running around town to every Baskin Robbins within my driving vicinity, which really I was going outside of my driving vicinity to try and find a strawberry ice cream cake. I went to 4.
I didn't know there were 4 around us.
There are 4.
Because I know of the one, and maybe one up near where you used
to live. There's one in Collierville, there's one in Germantown, there's one in Bartlett, there's one off Summer Avenue, and there's also the one in Union. And Union already told me over the phone they didn't have it. Yeah, Poplar. Yeah. And so, and then there's a one on Union too, right down the street from us. Yeah, there's a TCBY and there's a Baskin Robbins. But I luckily found one 20 minutes from River, 40 minutes from me. And I managed to get the cake. I was so excited. I remember having my daughter in the passenger seat and I'm like, hold this cake and don't let it drop. So we got the cake and we showed up at the party and we gave River these really cool gifts. River showed up a little bit late because you were working at the hostel, so you had to come after your shift, which is fine. It was your party. But yeah, it was a pretty good party. And I think that's kind of when you really started paying more attention to me, is when I threw that party. I always joke about that. I got you because of that birthday party.
Never mind the hours we spent into the wee morning hours when I had a early shift in the morning of 7 or 6, and still stayed up until 3 or 4 with you.
That's true.
Night after night after night.
Yeah, you did.
Because you had insomnia, and I remember we would talk into the night, and I would share music with you to
like meditation music.
That you could play to go to sleep.
Yeah. And then you also found there's this Korean drama called Bubblegum, and I love the instrumental in the beginning, and River found it for me. I used to play it over and over again because that song makes me really happy. I don't know, it's very weird. But I will say I am a nerd. I'm a huge nerd. If you follow my other YouTube channel, Approach the Nerd, you will know this. I love Star Trek. I love, Star Wars. I love like anime, manga, video games, Sentai, you name it. And one of the things I let River know is I was also a big Doctor Who fan because I had a Scottish mother, and my mother was raised on Doctor Who, and so I watched Doctor Who.
You said it was like
It was like my Sesame Street.
Mr. Roger.
Yeah, and so what's so funny to me is when I said that, I wasn't thinking about anything, and then maybe a week, I think it was a week, because you worked that week. So like that weekend, you actually said we should hang out. So I said, oh, well, there's this coffee shop by you. It wasn't the same one we met at. This is another one called Java Cabana. It was a really cool, like really, really eclectic, hippie, very hippie coffee shop. And we were going to meet there. Now, I did not think this was a date because River did not ask me out on a date. I did not realize that this was a date. So I have my daughter and my brother. My brother has special needs, and I had just picked him up from the center that he goes to during the day. And they had given him a hot dog, and he had spilt mustard all over. Like he gets He's so cute. Excited. He's so cute, and all of the food just went on his shirt and his pants.
So wait, I do have to say that I remember we had a conversation about this hangout over Messenger, and we said, we wanted to hang out to see where things went.
But I didn't realize that meant date-wise. I thought you meant, because remember, we were still good friends. We were good friends. So I didn't realize we were going to see, where things went dating-wise, because that was not the verbiage. So I thought you were like, this person's awesome. I like talking to them and I want to be friends. Did I want it to be a date? Heck yeah. Did I think it was a date? Nope. So we show up. I tell River I can't take my brother into this coffee shop because he's got mustard all over his clothes. So River's like, well, I can follow you. But then I noticed that there was a box, and it's my fault. I don't remember what the box was decorated. River had basically done what with the box?
I drew a TARDIS on the top because the shape was too perfect, guys. It was like the perfect little skinny rectangle that if you sit it on its short side up tall, it looks like a TARDIS. And then all I had to do was draw the doors and the sign and all that good stuff. And it was pretty much, but to be fair, it's a brown, cardboard box. And they're blue. Pretty dark. So if you take, what markers I had available to me in the hostel and draw, the little door and stuff, it can be hard to see. So I'll give that.
Yeah, I didn't remember the box, so I feel bad about that. But I do remember that inside of this box, which was from Amazon, were a variety of Doctor Who memorabilia. And that got my mind turning because I'm like, okay, I told you that I like Doctor Who the night of your birthday party. And I already had an Amazon order like from River. So complete 180 from the last video that we did where I was basically chasing River to be friends. Now I'm getting gifts already. So River follows me back to the area of town that I lived in, which was 40 minutes away from where River lives. And before, whenever I would invite River over, like if we were playing like a game of Werewolf or we were playing something like that, like we play a lot of games, role-playing games, and I would do parodies and things like that. And I had a sound booth because I do voiceovers, and so sometimes we'd make parodies and things like that. And I would invite River over, but River in the beginning would say, no, it's too far of a drive, and that's like a day trip, which it is 40 minutes. But River had no problem following me that night. And so we go up to my house. I park in the driveway and I drop the kids off and I get into the car and we head off to this Vietnamese restaurant that has the best pho in the entire city called Pho 64.
It has the best food in general. Like they anything really on that menu is fine. We just ate pho for the longest time because it was so good and we just didn't want anything else from them. But like we ventured into other meals eventually.
Yeah, their curry's good. The lemongrass is
And
good.
like they know how to cook.
They
like
do.
they
Even their Vietnamese and Thai teas are really good. Like, so if you're in the Memphis, Tennessee area, Pho 64, they're
Bartlett.
located in Bartlett.
Yep.
Very, very good. I feel like we're plugging. We're not sponsored, so but check them out. But yeah, so we go to this restaurant that at that point I've been there a handful of times, and River had never been there. And we were in that kind of awkward, I don't want to chew in front of you, pass gas, go to the bathroom, be a human being because I like you and I don't want you to know what I actually do, as a human being. So I remember I ordered shrimp pho and River ordered beef pho or chicken pho. It might have been chicken pho. I don't know. It definitely wasn't shrimp though, because I'm a pescatarian. So I've never, since I've started eating pho, ever had ice cold pho before, but we were so embarrassed. I mean, we just didn't eat. And I remember the staff was looking at like, is something wrong with the food? What is happening? And I'm just like, we were not eating at all. It was very weird.
like 30 or 20 minutes till the end when they were closing that we
Yeah,
finally started
because we
eating
got there
something.
at 7 and they closed at 9, and we were there the entire time. We were the last ones out, and we still hadn't eaten. I was so hungry late that night, but that's fine. And then we were supposed to go pick up an external hard drive from a guy that I used to work with that was kind of friends with. Not
a cable.
far. No, it was the cable for the external drive. And I don't know, one thing led to another, and he ended up talking us into watching a television show, so we stayed there. Now, he didn't realize we were on a date.
And it was awkward as hell. Because, like, you get vibes from people that they're into someone else if it's, like, super obvious, especially that they are. And especially if you're over there with that person of interest for them and they keep looking at you and her and, you and her and, like, not approve, like, and they're just not being, like, if you're hosting somebody at your house and, you're friends with one of them and they bring someone else over, like, typically, normally, if you have social skills, or even if you don't, like, you typically, kind of extend some kind of, like, friendliness, whatever. And that was just not there with this man. Like, he was just not having it at all. Like, not having what was happening.
Yeah, he even went so far as when I introduced River, I said, well, he met you before.
Yeah, at the coffee shop.
At a coffee shop, like, and that's a different story. But when I said we were on a date, he said no. He literally just said no. And I was like, I was so taken aback. I didn't even know what to make of that. I was really, really pissed off. So we ended up leaving there and heading back to my house. And it was like, when we got to my house, it was 4 a.m. So we had been out, I think when I first initially got to where you were, when I had my brother and my daughter with me, it was probably 6 o'clock.
Yeah, it was still lightish out.
Yeah.
It was getting to be dark, and we knew that we had to get to where we needed to be pretty soon because you couldn't, like, really drive well in the dark.
Yeah.
You can't see well in the dark. So
Yeah.
we were really trying to get wherever we were going to end up being really quickly. So it was kind of, the sun was about to set when we were heading up there. And then I remember it was pretty dark when we were out. Was that the time that we also stopped by Starbucks too, or was that a different time? Because I remember it was definitely dark then. Because I think that was after this guy, right?
After, yeah. Because we were there, till they closed, and they closed at 12.
And then we went to his house immediately. And
Yeah.
then after we left his house, we went to Starbucks and
Forgot
had
about
our
Because
time.
where I lived at the time was right up the road from Starbucks.
Because
So, yeah.
it just couldn't end
Yeah.
it there.
And then we
It
were
was
like,
a little
right, we
weird.
were like bitching about what just happened. But no, we got back to. I know when we got to my house, it was 4 a.m. because we were talking in the car too for like hours. And then so we got to my house. I remember getting out of the car, and you parked right on the end of the where my mailbox was, down the street. And you kept walking towards me. I'm standing in the door. You kept walking towards me. Then I had these 2 bushes on either side of me, and so you kept trimming the bushes, like.
Well, there were like dry leaves and things on there. You know, like when you're nervy, like it's like anything that you can mess with and, you know, fidget with, you just kind of naturally gravitate to.
Yes.
And there were a lot of dried little
But
leaves
it
on there.
should not
I
have
was like,
taken
"Ooh."
45 minutes. Like, I'm standing there and it's starting to rain.
A little bit.
And
Not
you
hard
are
yet.
like walking towards me, then going to the bush, then walking towards your car, then coming back to the other bush, then walking towards me, then walking to your car. And then finally you're like, good night. And I'm like, good night. And then you got in your car and drove off. And I think when you got to a red light, you text me and you're like, I really wanted to kiss you. I actually want to turn my car around right now. And I'm like, no, you need to go home. It's like, at this point, it's almost 5 something or 5:30 a.m. But that's how the date that I didn't realize was a date ended. I think we'll tell our first kiss and first other things later, but I will say another funny part of our story is River never officially asked me, like, you never asked me to be your girlfriend. You told me, well, you told your coworker. So I was going to visit River at work, and one of River's coworkers was coming down the stairs, and she like said, oh, who's this? And River said, oh, this is my girlfriend. And I was like, oh, okay, like, sure. I wasn't denying it, but I was just like, wow. And then I remember when we got to your room, you were like, and then I said, oh, so I'm your girlfriend. And you're like, yeah, sorry. I guess I should have said something to you first. That's such an anime moment. But yeah, that is basically how we got together. A birthday party, frozen pho, a not really good friend, Starbucks, and primming of some bushes in front of my house. Not to mention a gift of Doctor Who memorabilia from Amazon. But yeah, that is our video, guys. We would love to know what you think, so leave us a comment below and let us know. And our next video will hopefully be ready to post after this one posts. So if you're watching this one now, then the next one should be next week. We're going to try and update regularly on a weekly basis from this point on.
We'll try. Until then, thank you for spending a day in the life with the Parks.
Hey guys.